Welcome to LexTalks Legal Topics. Simplified, a podcast to help you easily navigate legal concepts. Today we're diving deep into something super relevant if you're dealing with banks in India.
Okay.
The Banking Ombudsman.
Interesting.
Ever had a frustrating issue with your bank and felt like you had nowhere to turn?
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's where this ombudsman comes in.
That's right.
So no lawyer jargon or intimidating judges.
Not at all.
Sign me up.
Exactly.
But seriously, what exactly is this Banking Ombudsman?
It's like a mini court, but way less formal.
Okay.
It was created back in 2006 to handle complaints against banks.
Okay.
What's really interesting is this wasn't the first attempt.
Oh,
There were earlier versions of this system going back to 1995.
really?
So clearly there's been a need for something like this for a while.
Makes sense. Banks can be pretty powerful, and regular folks need a way to fight back when things go wrong.
Yeah.
But having a separate system just for banking disputes, that's pretty unique, right?
It is.
Yeah.
It speaks to how important banking is in our lives.
Right.
And get this, it's a completely free e-service.
Wow.
No court fees, no lawyer charges, nothing.
Free legal help for banking issues.
Yep.
That's huge, especially for folks who might not be able to afford a lawyer.
Absolutely.
But is it actually effective?
Let me put it this way.
Okay.
Between 2002 and 2006, while they were setting up the current system,
Yeah.
the Ombudsman handled a whopping 36,000 complaints.
Wow.
Clearly, people are using it and getting results.
36,000.
Yeah.
So it's not just some obscure thing nobody knows about.
No.
Speaking of access,
Yeah.
how many of these banking ombudsman offices are there?
There are 22 regional offices spread all across India.
Wow.
They wanted to make sure everyone, regardless of location, has a chance to use the system.
Okay, so widespread access, free service, this is sounding good.
Yeah, it is.
But which banks are actually covered under this scheme?
All the major players,
So-
scheduled commercial banks, regional rural banks, and even scheduled primary cooperative banks. So if you're banking with a recognized institution, you're likely covered.
Got it. That covers most people.
Yeah.
But what about those who bank with smaller cooperative banks?
Right.
Are they left out in the cold?
Not at all.
Okay.
In 2021, they introduced something called the Integrated Ombudsman Scheme.
Okay.
This expanded the coverage to include certain non-scheduled urban cooperative banks, specifically the ones with deposits over 50 crore rupees.
All right.
It's like they're constantly trying to make the system more inclusive.
That's great news for folks who prefer smaller banks. They get the same protection as those who bank with the big guys.
Exactly.
So let's get into the nitty-gritty. What kind of problems can you actually take to the Banking Ombudsman?
The list is surprisingly long.
Really?
Think non-payment of checks, issues with your ATM or debit card, even if a bank refuses to open an account for you.
So it's not just about losing money, right? What if the bank's customer service is terrible, but I haven't actually suffered a financial loss? Can I still complain?
Absolutely.
Oh, good.
You have the right to be treated fairly and with respect.
Yeah.
So rude behavior, ignoring your concerns,
Right.
all valid reasons to file a complaint.
I love that. It's about holding banks accountable for how they treat people, not just their money.
Yeah.
What about the digital world?
Right.
So many of us use online banking and apps now.
Sure.
Are those issues covered?
You bet.
Okay.
Complaints about mobile banking, internet banking, all that jazz are included.
Okay.
With digital banking becoming so huge in India, this is a crucial part of the scheme.
This is making me feel a lot more confident about online banking.
Good.
So let's say someone does have a problem. What's the first step they should take?
Here's the catch.
Okay.
You can't just go straight to the ombudsman.
Ooh.
You have to approach your bank first and give them a chance to fix it.
Makes sense. Give the bank a chance to make things right.
Yeah.
But what if they just ignore me or don't do anything to help?
That's where the ombudsman comes in.
Okay.
But here's the key.
Okay.
You have to wait 30 days. If the bank hasn't resolved the issue within 30 days, then you can file a complaint with the ombudsman.
Okay.
This two-step process is designed to be fair to both sides.
Got it. So it's not about immediately running to the ombudsman, but having that option if the bank doesn't take care of things?
Exactly.
Think of it like this.
Yeah.
You're giving the bank a chance to be the hero of the story.
Mm-hmm.
Only if they fail, the ombudsman steps in.
Right.
All right, so we know that if the bank messes up and doesn't fix it within 30 days, we can take our complaint to the banking ombudsman.
Right.
But how does that actually work?
Yeah.
Is it a whole complicated legal process?
No, not at all.
Okay.
The system is designed to be user-friendly. You can file a complaint online
Okay.
through their dedicated portal
Yeah.
called CMS.
CMS?
Short for Complaint Management System.
Okay.
Think of it like a one-stop shop for tracking your case.
Okay.
You can also send it by email,
Oh,
regular mail, or even walk into a regional office and file it in person. They've really tried to make it accessible for everyone.
that online portal sounds pretty convenient.
Yeah.
Can you track the progress of your complaint online too?
Absolutely.
Really?
You can see exactly where your case stands, which adds a layer of transparency to the whole process.
Okay.
It's a great example of how technology can make legal stuff less intimidating.
That's great. It takes away some of the anxiety of not knowing what's happening.
Right.
Okay, so let's say I'm ready to file a complaint.
Okay.
What information did I need to have ready?
The basics, your name, address, contact info, and details of the bank branch that's giving you trouble.
Okay.
But the most important part is a clear description of what happened.
Yeah.
The ombudsman needs to understand the issue and how it affected you.
Okay.
And of course, any documents you have, like copies of checks,
Yeah.
bank statements, emails, those can really help your case.
Documents are always key. So once the complaint is filed, what happens next?
First, you'll get confirmation that they received your complaint. Then the ombudsman's office will check if your complaint falls under their jurisdiction. If it does, they move on to the interesting part.
Okay.
Mediation.
Mediation.
Yeah.
So they try to help you and the bank come to an agreement.
Exactly.
Mhm.
The ombudsman acts as a neutral party trying to find a solution that works for everyone.
Okay.
This approach is usually much faster and less stressful than going to court.
That makes sense. So they're not just there to punish banks,
Right.
but to actually help resolve problems.
Exactly.
But what happens if mediation doesn't work?
If they can't reach an agreement through mediation,
Okay.
the ombudsman has the power to issue a binding award.
Okay.
This is basically a decision that both you and the bank have to follow.
Right.
It carries the weight of a legal ruling.
So there's a definitive outcome, one way or another.
There is.
And what if one of the parties disagrees with the ombudsman's decision? Can they appeal?
Yes, they can appeal to the deputy governor of the RBI if they think the decision was unfair. This ensures that there's a system of checks and balances in place.
Okay.
So it's not like the ombudsman's word is the absolute final say.
That's reassuring. It seems like they've really thought this through. But let's be real, no system is perfect.
Right.
What are some limitations of the Banking Ombudsman Scheme?
Well, there's a time limit.
Okay.
You have 1 year from the date of the incident to file a complaint.
Okay.
So don't sit on your rights.
Right.
There are also limits on the amount of compensation they can award.
Okay.
The maximum is 20 lakh rupees plus an extra lakh for mental agony.
Okay, so there are financial caps.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any other limitations people should be aware of?
The ombudsman can't do anything about general bank policies, even if you think they're unfair.
Right.
They also can't deal with service quality issues if you haven't actually lost any money.
Okay.
And if your case is already being heard in a court or tribunal,
Uh-huh.
the ombudsman won't get involved.
Okay.
It's important to know these boundaries.
It helps to manage expectations. So we've talked about what the ombudsman can't do. But let's focus on the positive.
Okay.
What are the major benefits of this scheme for regular folks?
The biggest one is accessibility.
Right.
It's a free and relatively simple way to resolve disputes with banks. It also forces banks to be more accountable, knowing that customers have this avenue for recourse.
You're right. It levels the playing field between individuals and these powerful financial institutions.
Exactly.
It gives people a voice.
It does.
So it's not just about getting compensation, but also about ensuring fairness and holding banks responsible for their actions.
Precisely.
And for those of you interested in how legal systems evolve,
Yeah,
this is a great case study.
it is.
The Banking Ombudsman Scheme shows how India has created a mechanism to protect consumers
Right.
in a sector as crucial as banking.
Yeah.
Now, to really understand how this works in practice, let's dive into some real-life cases
Okay.
where the ombudsman stepped in and helped people get justice. These cases can be incredibly illuminating.
Yeah.
They showed the human side of these disputes
They do.
and how the ombudsman can make a real difference in people's lives.
For sure.
Ready to hear some stories?
Absolutely bring on the real-life banking dramas.
We've talked a lot about how the banking ombudsman helps individual customers, but I'm curious about the bigger picture.
Okay.
Does this system actually have an impact on the banking industry as a whole?
It definitely does.
How so?
Think of it this way.
Oh.
Every complaint that goes through the ombudsman's office adds to a huge database of information about banking practices and customer issues.
Okay.
This data is incredibly valuable for the Reserve Bank of India, the RBI.
So the RBI is using this data to get a better understanding of what's going wrong in the banking system.
Exactly. They can spot trends, identify problem areas, and even anticipate potential risks. It's like having a giant feedback loop that helps the RBI make the entire banking system safer and more customer-friendly.
So it's not just about resolving individual complaints,
Right.
but also about making things better for everyone in the long run.
Yeah.
Can you give us an example of how this data has led to actual changes?
Sure. There was a period where the ombudsman was flooded with complaints about banks mis-selling financial products,
Oh, wow.
especially insurance policies bundled with bank accounts.
Oh, yeah.
Customers felt tricked into buying things they didn't need.
That's awful. Taking advantage of people who might not fully understand the financial jargon?
Exactly.
Yeah.
The RBI saw this pattern in the ombudsman's data and took action.
Okay.
They issued strict guidelines to banks basically saying, no more mis-selling.
Good.
They also started public awareness campaigns to educate people about their rights.
So the Ombudsman's data acted like an alarm bell, prompting the RBI to step in and protect consumers.
Exactly.
Another example is excessive or hidden bank charges.
Ugh, yeah.
People were getting hit with all these fees without proper explanation.
The ombudsman's data showed this was a widespread problem.
I hate those sneaky fees.
Yeah.
It feels like they're always trying to get you with the fine print.
The RBI saw what was happening and issued guidelines requiring banks to be completely transparent about their fees.
Okay.
They had to clearly display all charges and get your explicit consent before charging you anything extra.
So thanks to the Ombudsman's data, banks are now forced to be more upfront about their fees.
Yeah,
That's a win for consumers.
it is.
It shows how the focus on individual complaints can have a ripple effect, leading to changes that benefit everyone who uses banks in India.
It really does.
This is fascinating. I never realized the Banking Ombudsman Scheme had such a big impact on the banking sector as a whole.
Yeah,
It's not just a complaint desk, it's a force for positive change.
it is.
Now, before we wrap up, let's talk about the future.
Okay.
The banking world is changing rapidly, especially with the rise of digital banking and all these new fintech companies.
Right.
Can the Ombudsman keep up?
That's a good question.
Yeah, it seems like every day there's a new app or platform for managing money.
It does.
So how is the Banking Ombudsman adapting to this digital revolution?
The RBI is on top of it.
Good.
They're constantly upgrading the online complaint system, the CMS portal I talked about, to make it even easier and more user-friendly.
So they're making sure the system's accessible in the digital world.
Right.
Are there any other tech-driven initiatives in the works?
They're even exploring the use of artificial intelligence AI
Oh, wow.
to help with complaint handling.
Okay.
Imagine AI analyzing complaints, sorting them by type and urgency,
Right.
and even suggesting possible solutions.
Wow, AI for banking complaints. That sounds futuristic, but also super efficient.
It is. It's all about using technology to make the system faster and more responsive.
Yeah.
They're also looking at expanding the Ombudsman's reach to cover new financial products and services offered by fintech companies.
Okay.
Think peer-to-peer lending platforms, digital wallets, all that stuff.
So no matter how banking evolves, the Ombudsman will be there to protect consumers.
Yep.
That's reassuring to know.
It is. They're also making sure younger generations who are so comfortable with technology know about the Ombudsman. They're using social media, collaborating with fintech companies, really spreading the word.
It sounds like the Banking Ombudsman is in good shape for the future.
It does.
But let's be practical. If one of our listeners is dealing with a banking issue right now,
Okay.
what should they do?
First, don't panic.
Okay.
Remember, the Ombudsman is there to help.
Right.
But start by trying to resolve the issue with the bank directly.
Okay.
Talk to their customer service. Go to the branch and file a formal written complaint.
Okay.
Keep records of everything, conversations, emails, transaction details.
Documentation is crucial. It's your proof if things escalate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. If the bank doesn't fix it within 30 days,
Yeah.
then you can approach the Ombudsman.
Okay.
You can find all the information you need on the RBI website. There are contact details for each regional office, instructions on how to file a complaint, the types of complaints they handle. It's all there.
And don't forget, it's a completely free service.
Right.
You don't need a lawyer or any legal expertise to use the Ombudsman.
Exactly. It's designed to be accessible for everyone.
Yeah.
Just be clear and concise when describing your complaint.
Mm-hmm.
Provide all the necessary documents.
Right.
And approach the process with an open mind.
Well, I think we've covered just about everything there is to know about the Banking Ombudsman.
I think so.
It's a system designed to protect consumers, ensure fairness, and hold banks accountable.
Yeah.
And the best part is, it's constantly evolving to keep up with the changing world of banking.
Exactly.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the Banking Ombudsman Scheme. We hope you found it informative and empowering.
We do.
If you're dealing with a banking issue, remember the Ombudsman is there to help.
Absolutely.
Thank you for being part of LexTalks. Subscribe for more beginner-friendly episodes.